All right, we're live. Testing, testing. Today on Quality Time with Family Ties, we learn when David Goldberg does it, that means it's not a crime. Shit, I fucked up. All right, just leave that as it is, and that'll be a great thing.
3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Quality Time with Family Ties. I'm one of your hosts, Scott Jones. Joining me, as always, Mr. Paul Packler.
You know what's going to be great about that intro, guys, is that because I swore in it, we can just replace those with, like, editor choice expletives, just like when they put the Nixon tapes in, like, the Times and the Post.
Absolutely.
It constantly said expletive.
A
Right.
little redacted. I got you. Yeah, there you go.
Boom! Meta.
See?
Done. Congratulations.
You made it work. And Corey Pepper. Corey, how are you?
Well, I watched this episode. Need I say more?
Yeah, guys.
And I watch it. You know what? This is one of those rare times I've watched the episode 2 days ago. So
really?
Some of it I've blocked out. Well, I also realized that my handwriting at the time is illegible. I can't even read my own notes tonight. So this is really good. I barely remember the piece of crap I saw 2 days ago, and I can barely read my own notes upon that piece of crap I can't remember.
Corey, I have to ask, is your handwriting usually pretty illegible, or was it that you were so, like, nonplussed and depressed while watching, your hand couldn't write?
B. I can usually read everything that I write. My handwriting is usually very good, and I keep the page very neat. But boy, I sure didn't give a shit during this episode, much like the writers.
Yeah.
Well, on the bright side, Corey, this is our last episode 15. So.
You know, what's really encouraging is that we're episode 15. I can do the math. That sounds like only 7 more episodes left.
Is that it? 7 more episodes?
That sounds like it. I think
it's about that. 7 to 8.
Yeah.
But remember, guys, we got I think we have at least 2 more 2-parters coming up.
You know what? Every time one of you guys says that, I get this sick feeling in the pit of my stomach. I really do. It makes me sick in my stomach. There hasn't been a good 2-parter since Tom Hanks.
I was going to say Tom Hanks. That was the 2-parter, yeah. Boy. Yeah, remember that when they were in the airport and they were jumping all over the place in the airport?
They were jokes?
Yeah.
Who'd ever think that I would look back on those episodes as the good old days?
I challenge you right now to go back and listen to that episode and see how much we actually enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I have a feeling I know how much we really enjoyed it. I mean, but, you know, I wish now I could go back and almost do it all over again and go, no, this is really a good episode. Series.
Yeah.
If our future selves could talk to us back then.
I know, they really make tonight's episode, which is entitled what? Till Your Daddy Takes Your T-Bird Away?
Yeah.
Close enough. Yeah. Yeah. It's the Beach Boys song.
Right. It's just it features a good guest star performance by somebody who I think we all like, Dan Hedaya.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Richard Nixon. All right.
And a really, really horrible B-plot featuring Richard Nixon.
You would think with Dan Hedaya and Richard Nixon, I would be tap dancing and doing bell kicks right now.
It just doesn't work that way when you see this episode. It's an episode that sort of wastes everything. And it almost wastes Mallory as well. I really feel like, you know, she has a big plot and it's like, nah, they don't have anything to do. It's just awful.
I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but the final scene, not Meredith Baxter, Justine Bateman, I think does a good job.
I do.
Transcends the writing, and the writing for her isn't terrible in that scene.
I'll give you that.
Yes.
That's the only time that it's all right. The rest, I think, is like a series of missed opportunities for them to use her, for them to use Nick. They almost defaulted to Dan Hedaya and Michael Gross scenes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the whole, it gets, again, they step in the whole situation of getting everything so convoluted with the problem that I don't know why it's so hard for Family Ties writers to keep things just simplistic and then have fun with that. They have to come up with the most convoluted idea to create a problem when it's right under their nose.
Yeah, that was the scene that confused me the most. No, we should start. Let's start at the beginning. Where are we? In the kitchen? At the beginning of this thing? What episode?
Yeah. Well, everybody, if you're playing along at home, yeah, we're on season 7, episode 15, till the daddy takes the T-bird away, and yeah, we're in the kitchen, and Jennifer is writing a play about Nixon's final days.
Paul?
Did we?
Yeah, she says she's doing it for history class. That's fine. So I'm guessing it's probably like a little 5-minute, just play out the big events of his resignation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just want to get out in front of all of this and say Harry Shearer, who does, half of the voices on The Simpsons, and he's been in a bunch of Christopher Guest movies. He was on one of the worst seasons of Saturday Night Live in 1980. He was in Spinal Tap. Mm-hmm. He, with all of his insane amounts of money, went on the BBC where they produced a show, a mini-series, like they always do on the BBC, called Nixon's the One. And on this, he plays Richard Nixon, and they just act out transcripts from different tapes that were recorded in the Oval Office. It's one of the craziest fucking projects I've ever seen. It's on YouTube. You can watch all 5 or 6 episodes. And the final one is him doing the resignation speech. And Harry Shearer is amazing.
I can see that.
Yeah. But it's one of the craziest fucking, how does this project get made? And it's because he's rich and he can just do this little vanity project.
Nice.
Nixon's the one.
Nixon's the one. All right. And of course, where there's Nixon, there is Alex P. Keaton. And Alex...
There was never, to me, a reasonable explanation of Alex's continued love for a man who resigned in disgrace and never recovered from that.
Right, because this is 1989. We all know, the public knows and is fully aware. There is no question of how disgraceful his actions were. The Frost Nixon interviews are out there. What even conservative is out there still loving Nixon like this?
That's right. And then they've never really explained it to me, because it has to be explained to somebody who's a rational human being. How do you continue 15 years later? Continue. It's almost Trump-avian, pardon my expression, but of fostering some mythology that's just not true.
It's a cult at a certain point.
Right. It's just not true that Nixon was an effective Republican or a good president or a decent human being or anything less than a stain on the presidency and our country.
Yes. At the same time, though, Nixon was an effective president in certain ways.
In his 4 years.
Yes. Things like the EPA, things like affirmative action that were started under his... What he did was he would do liberal policies and then do the least amount of work possible. So that way he was constantly gunning for the center, and he would try to be here's this policy, but it's the shittiest version of it. And obviously his foreign policy was garbage. He's a war criminal. He's an authoritarian asshole. He spied on people. He had enemies lists. He politicized the Justice Department. All kinds of terrible things. But there are people like Ben Stein, obviously Roger Stone, Pat Buchanan. All the people that worked for Nixon are the ones that were, even into the 70s and 80s, still fighting for his legacy. Ben Stein wrote these fictionalized books that I listened to a podcast about one of them. They're insane. But it was he was burying grudges or whatever with Ford. He hated Ford. He thought Reagan was a dolt, Ben Stein, in this book that he wrote. So the people the Republicans that were still caping for Nixon in the 80s were a very strange and interesting, the reasons they did it were very strange and interesting.
Interesting. I thought it was really weird too, how they talked about Nixon in this episode. we have this scene, and then we have the scene where Alex brings out the Nixie magazine. Like, Nixon is like a cover of Teen Beat, kind of like it's weird. They almost sexualize him, or at least Alex does.
Centerfold.
They do. Yeah, he has a centerfold. He's on a bearskin rug, like the Burt Reynolds fold out. Like,
right. And so
it's creepy.
Alex said that he got this in 1967. Would have been what, like five years old or something like that. And
yeah.
And so this magazine about Nixon has weird centerfold fold-outs. So make of that what you will about Alex and his relationship with strong authoritarian male figures.
But then we get to, okay, so that's going to be our B plot, is this whole situation of Jennifer trying to write this play and Alex trying to insert his ideas and thoughts into it. We get to our A plot where Mallory is with Nick. She's late bringing back the car for Steven because Steven has to go somewhere. And it comes up that, maybe Mallory suggests that maybe she should be looking at a car since, we have so many, she points out that, I can drive, Mom can drive, and Jennifer points out that she's going to be driving, which we've already talked about in a previous episode.
Yeah, I'm very glad that the Keaton seem to at least have two cars. That they, like the internal logic is consistent. Yeah.
And it was nice that they referenced something that they had talked about this season, which they rarely do.
Right.
So Mallory is going to go down. So they decide to go down to Nick's dad's car dealership, Joe's, and look at cars.
More internal consistency. Nick has a father. His father's name is Joe, and he owns a car dealership. Yay! 2 for 2.
I'll give you 3, Paul. And there's still a little, animosity between him and his dad a little bit. There's kind of jab. They kept that up too. Things still aren't great between the two of them.
Yeah. You would think so far this episode's doing fairly well. It's not, but you would think.
Nope.
Well, the first hint that things are going to go wrong is when Steven says something to the effect at the end of this first scene of, "I don't want you to get swindled."
Yeah.
Not a very positive term about your daughter's boyfriend's father.
Yeah, I thought that was a little strange.
Mm-hmm.
Is there ever a time that people, like, you go into a used car dealership and you can talk people down? Is that ever a thing?
You used to be able to haggle. That was part of what some people liked haggling to buy a car. To me, that was the worst part of buying a car. Mm-hmm. Haggle about it.
Yeah. But they go down to the showroom, and the cars in the showroom didn't look real. They look like
cars.
Yeah, they look very much like prop cars, mm-hmm. but almost to like even bad prop cars.
Well, I mean, they're not going to bring in cars with engines on a soundstage. I'm guessing it was just like the outside shell of a car, right?
Yeah, no, I get it. It just was very noticeable.
Yeah, the prices were very reasonable.
Oh God, yeah.
$13,000 for like a caddy or something. I was like, all right.
Yeah, sure. And Mallory, Mallory picks out there's a lot of jokes of, Dan Hedaya has awesome jokes, great delivery, and there's a lot of jokes about him, how he would swindle anybody else, but he's not going to swindle his kid's girlfriend. And so Mallory falls in love with this purple convertible.
Carmen Gia.
Yes.
Convertible in Columbus, Ohio. Last time I checked, the climate of Columbus, Ohio is quite different than, say, Southern California. Having a convertible would probably be a bad idea for about 9 out of those 12 months.
You think?
Yeah. You get a good 3 months of enjoying that convertible.
So let's get a purple convertible. It's a good color. It's a good car. Carmen Gia is very sturdy. Nothing to make a father nervous. With their daughter driving in half a car.
No. And to go back to it, there is a little haggling back and forth. They're gonna pay $2,500 for it.
No. That's Daddy. Instead of putting all the money down, Daddy co-signs on a loan for the car.
Right. They're gonna have to get a loan.
So okay, timeout. I was stoned when I watched this episode because that's my new affectation that I'm trying on, folks.
It's better than when you had the pipe and the Sherlock Holmes hat. That affectation was.
Are you saying you don't want me to put the Sherlock Holmes hat on right now?
Correct. And then there was the time that you looked like Tevye the Milkman from Fiddler on the Roof.
Wait, was he a milkman? I thought he was something else.
No, Tevye's a milkman.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a dairy farmer. Milkman.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's your new affectation.
My new affectation is to get stoned. Which
is legal, of course, where you are in New York.
Oh, no, it's not. It's not. This is my fuck you, Jeff Sessions acting out.
I believe the president also filed a fuck you, Jeff Sessions this morning in a major.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. He asked him to cancel a probe that he's recused himself from. That's correct.
Right.
Well, he has to do one every 3 months when things get a little too hot, The trial just started.
You guys, I'm talking to the audience right now. Listen, I know you probably don't know anything about Watergate, but honestly, Karl Marx once said that history repeats itself first as tragedy and second as comedy. And this is stupid Watergate. The tapes that were found that were from the Oval Office that Nixon is saying, where can we get $1 million? Talking to John Mitchell or whoever was the AG by that point, because Mitchell was working for Creep. And the AG trying to talk to the FBI, stop this investigation. This is stupid. They shouldn't be investigating. And fucking Trump tweets out to his recused attorney general, the attorney general and the president aren't supposed to be talking about which things to prosecute and not, especially his own personal stake in an investigation. And he tweets it out in public. We don't even need fucking tapes.
Yeah,
we do. Someone said today, I believe I heard on CNN someone literally say, Nixon, we had to ferret out these tapes. This moron absolutely tweets his obstruction of justice for everyone to see.
So, I've started smoking a lot of pot.
He's tweeting obstruction of justice demands upon his AG that has already recused himself. So there's nothing he can do to cancel this. He can't call off the dogs.
No. Right. Mueller has to love this.
He's going to call off the dogs, by the way. Oh.
Yeah.
So,
oh, that's right. We're back there in the old car dealership, and Steven signed a cosign.
Yeah, so they're gonna go get a loan, and Steven agrees to cosign. Then we are back in the kitchen, and Jennifer is continuing to work on her play. Alex sneaks up on her in a Nixon mask. Jennifer screams. Alex takes off the mask. Jennifer screams even louder.
I want to say this was a funny joke. Was it a funny joke?
No.
I want to say it was funny too, and I just don't. Now that I'm hearing it, it doesn't sound like.
I've seen it a million times.
Yeah.
Right.
But Logan, this is the first time anyone ever did it.
In 1989.
Oh, shit. They're the creators of that joke. That masterpiece of a joke that everybody for decades to come has tried to recreate. That joke they created in their last season.
Mm-hmm. It's awful.
It's on Wikipedia. Check it out. I'm surprised. I'm surprised you young kids aren't on the Wikipedia finding out this kind of stuff.
On the Wikipedia.
On the Wikipedia.
And then this Nixon thing, which I kept on thinking, we're going to hear less and less about this Nixon thing. And as the show went on, we got more and more of this Nixon plot.
Oh, well, we got a lot
You get
more
a Nixon
of the
performance in a few minutes that just goes on.
Mhm. Oh yeah,
And
with
here
no joke.
we get so Michael J. Fox comes in after the double scream reading Nixie, the magazine.
Yeah, this is where we have like it's like Nixon Teen Beat. Yeah, the Jennifer is freaked out. There's like a centerfold of Nixon that you don't see, but her reaction kind of sums it up. Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Mallory comes in a few minutes later with all the stuff that she bought for her new car in advance of her new car. She and Nick went car gadget shopping.
Yeah. They got the seat covers, the furry seat covers, a shopper on board sticker, and then Joe comes in with the paperwork.
Now, hold up here, folks.
Mm.
Let's get into some business talk.
Mm.
We're two dads combined.
2 out of 3, as far as I can.
2 out of 3, yeah.
Yeah, 66.6 repeating % dads here.
Uh-huh.
So, they're taking out a loan is what is established in the car dealership. Mallory wants to take out a loan to pay for the car. The dad, she can't do it by herself, which is weird. Why doesn't she have good credit at the age of 20? And then dad's like, well, I'll co-sign or I'll be the co-lease or whatever the terminology is. So then, more than necessarily the fact that, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Mallory and Nick want to go on a road trip around the country. When she says, we're on spring break, we want to take a road trip around the country. And this is the rest of the episode, is Steven freaking the fuck out about this. Because he doesn't want his daughter to have sex. What? And so...
Yeah.
But does he actually say that? I swear I missed it. Did he actually say he doesn't want his daughter to have sex? Is that what he said?
No. But it kind of is implied.
It's strongly implied that, like, them being alone together type thing.
So he's implying that this road trip would give them the chance that their 2-year relationship has not given them?
That's what this episode is like. That's the only reason
this is where it gets
so concerned.
Yes, this is where it gets so fucking frustrating.
Please don't tell me that again, because I'll become even more enraged than I already am. Okay. Are you serious that that's the fit that Stephen Keaton is throwing? That he doesn't want her to go on the road trip? It has nothing to do with the safety of the car or the safety of his child. It has to do with her little dick.
Yes, that's the thing. That's what's so enraging about this is the fact that if the point of this episode is that Stephen doesn't want to sign the line, one, it's a little out there to have him not want to sign it because Mallory wants to take this trip. It's even more out there that he doesn't want to sign it not because of safety, which would make a little bit more sense, or hey, it's a new car, I don't want you putting 1 billion miles on it traveling across country. No, it's just I don't want you to be alone with Nick, which is something we've seen so many fucking times.
What kind of delusional world is Stephen King thinking in that after 2 years they have not consummated their relationship?
They almost got married. And you had the same kind of fit.
So my concern in bringing all this up now is the fact that Mallory and Nick, upon pulling out a loan that her father co-signed because they couldn't get $2,500 together between them, they go out and they buy fucking shoppers on board stickers and pants that are made out of Chewbacca leather. What the fuck is going on? Like, if I were Steven, I would be like, you are two idiots who waste money on shit. You're going to be, like, my name is on the line for this lease, or for this loan from the bank, and this is what you go spend money on? You need to pay for this car, you two idiots.
Sure. That makes sense.
Like, you could make a plot out of that.
That's what I thought when I read the synopsis. That's what I thought it was going to be about why he wouldn't sign, was Mallory's irresponsible with money.
I mean, because all we know about Mallory is that she likes to shop, right? Like, that's her thing. Shopping and clothing. She loves the mall. She loves the shop. She loves commerce. She loves materials. And so, this should be a thing. You could take it to that. You could take it to the fact that Mallory can't be the same person that she used to be, where she gets free money all the time to shop as she wants. And instead they make it about the fucking thing. I don't get it.
Yeah, it makes no sense. It's horrible. It's so horrible.
So
this scene ends basically. Steven hears this, refuses to sign. He pouts like a child.
Yep, he does.
Like a 12-year-old that doesn't get his way. And leaving Dana to try to get Meredith Baxter Burney to sign for the lease.
And is this the end of the first act?
It is indeed, actually, yeah.
I could not tell where the act break, because I'm watching and no act break, and this was one of the first times I was unclear where the act break was.
And with that, we'll be right back. All right, 1 second. I'm trying to find the name of that book, so I'm just... Here, 1 second. Sorry.
No worries.
On the Brink. All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. And we're back. And the book that I was alluding to earlier, there's a podcast called I Don't Even Own a Television where they review terrible books, which is the craziest thing to me because putting in all of the effort to read a shitty book is just spending a half an hour watching Family Ties a week drives me insane. I can't imagine putting like effort into reading Slash's autobiography and then reporting. But these saints who walk among us do that, and the show's called I Don't Even Own a Television. Jeb Lund, who's a great writer, is a guest on this episode, and the book is called On the Brink. So I Don't Even Own a Television, the On the Brink episode, if you want to listen to Nixon apologetics. It's pretty cool.
Wow.
We open this act in the living room, is that right? With Jennifer still working on her Nixon report?
Yes, and this is where she's in the living room and she's presenting it, and Alex hates it.
Yes,
he's upset and he's crying. He has a picture of Richard Nixon, and he kind of, after he hears it, he kind of slunks away upstairs.
Yes,
and again, no jokes.
Who gets this? I wrote the word silent treatment down. Who's getting this? Oh, his dad. Oh, we're giving dad. This was the scene where
there's
the concept of the silent treatment to give Stephen Keaton the silent treatment for backing out of the co-signing.
Right.
And Nick has obviously been doing whippets upstairs because he has lost oxygen to his brain. And so, therefore, he belabors the point that he's giving Stephen the silent treatment and spends the next 90 seconds explaining that fact infinite amounts of time.
This show is absolutely classic for not just dumbing a character down, but brain damaging them. They've done it to Stephen. They do it to Alex all the time. Alex, who's incredibly bright, they make him a sociopath. And that's just as much as him being brain damaged for a minute. They do it to Nick all the time.
They do it to Mallory, obviously.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's just like, well, we just make him Skippy. We've said Skippy seems like this. He's actually handicapped at times.
I feel like they tried it twice, like once or twice with Elise, and it fell apart. They were like, oh, we can't go that far with her.
Yeah, exactly. We can't make her dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what was weird about this joke is like Nick is trying to explain he's giving Stephen the silent treatment, obviously not giving him the silent treatment, and they had Elise join in and trying to shush him along with Mallory, which was kind of weird.
It's weird when Elise is mean. She seems like too smart and too empathetic of a character to do that sort of a thing. Obviously, they've trained us to realize that Stephen Keaton is an asshole, and becomes only more so as the years go by and tick off into the 21st century. Like, he would have been the most garbage grandparent ever. But, like, I think that, like, Stephen can be When it feels bad.
We lost your mic.
Oh, it's a little bit back.
Can you hear me?
Yep, now we can.
There we go. All right,
Sorry
pick it
about
back
that.
up.
So when they do it with Steven, it makes sense at this point. We've been indoctrinated to this. But with Elise, it feels really weird when she is dumb.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we have Nick and Mallory planning their vacation in front of Steven again.
Yeah, now Mallory's plan is she's going to just pay for a car that she can afford and do the trip anyway.
They get even less. By the way, that makes a lot of sense. The less money you pay for the car, the more miles you should put on that car.
Right.
That's sort of counterintuitive. The older the car is, the more wear and tear the car's already had. You got to be gentle with a car like that.
Also,
yeah.
Sorry.
I want to be concerned your daughter's about to purchase too.
I was just gonna say that the reason that they're going on a trip is because it's spring break for Mallory. So let's give her a week to 10 days. That's not a lot of time to travel around the entire United States.
Oh God, no.
Like that's you're not really stopping anywhere. So I don't know. Mallory, maybe rethink your vacation plan. Maybe just go to the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, exactly. Take one
Have
spot.
a destination. Yeah. Yeah.
So we end up back at the car dealership, and Steven goes to the car dealership to convince Joe. This is where you mentioned before, this gets so fucking complicated and convoluted. It's so stupid. I don't understand why they did this to themselves. They twisted themselves into a knot here that they couldn't get themselves out of. He goes there to convince Joe not to sell his daughter and his son a car.
And this is Joe we're talking about. Like
a sleazy car salesman.
Right. And I don't care who it is, Joe's gonna sell a car.
Like, even at a line, you do understand the concept of what my line of work is.
Right.
My line of work is to sell cars.
Right. And to sell bad cars. Like
or not to give a shit. I don't give a shit what the car is.
Right.
Here's a car.
So why would he give a shit if Steven's coming in and being like, hey, please don't sell to my daughter and your son? Like, that's the easiest sell Joe can possibly make. He's gonna do it. This makes no sense.
And Steven does pour it on a little dramatically with, I'm very worried about the kids. I don't think this is a good idea. I'm trying to discourage this. You know, I don't want Mallory to ride the baloney pony while she's on the road.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But then, you know, and so Nick and Mallory come into this the showroom, and Steven jumps into the caddy in the back seat so no one sees him. And Joe actually tries to talk them out of buying a car.
Yes, he does.
Going completely against the character that's been created.
And in the middle of him talking him out, Steven rolls out of one of the cars that he's been hiding in.
Yeah.
And Mallory sees her dad and realizes, oh, Dad came here and convinced Joe not to sell us a car. I hate you even more, Dad.
Yep.
She's completely in the right.
Yep.
And we go back to the kitchen for the longest, worst scene of the season.
And the worst Nixon impression I've ever heard.
Ever. Absolutely ever. And it went on forever. My life passed before my eyes. This scene may have taken me a good 20 or 30 minutes to get through. I couldn't watch more than 20 or 30 seconds of this scene before I just went, oh, this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I felt so bad for Michael J. Fox.
I was high, and I'll be honest, I saw the complete evolution of man from banging a skeleton with a bone to throwing it up into the air and space travel to the moon.
Absolutely, I'm with you. It was, how do we describe it? It's Michael J. Fox doing elongated Richard Nixon impersonation using the words that his 11th grade sister used to write about Nixon in Nixon's words, or was it actually words of Nixon?
It was I'll let you go, Paul.
Yeah, it was. No, it was that Alex wrote a compendium, or he wrote his own version of her end of the play, and so therefore, it's like him saying, "I was actually a good guy," but like Michael J. Fox is putting so much effort into this impersonation, and he's like shaking, and he's got his hands up. And you could see that Michael J. Fox looked really uncomfortable doing this, and so you feel embarrassed, like, through osmosis.
Yeah.
And it's interminable. It just, the jokes that the writers came up with don't do their actor any, like, you're going to need strong jokes if you're just going to have him do stand-up for a little bit. And
it's just basically him saying, Jennifer was bad, I hated Jennifer's play, over and over again.
It's very uncomfortable.
Yeah. I mean, Paul, when we started this podcast,
don't start.
No, but if I had told you there's going to be a moment where you're going to see Michael J. Fox imitate Richard Nixon, how would you have felt back then?
I would have laughed. I would have thought that was great. I was like, oh, that's going to be hilarious.
Right.
And the reality of it is quite sad. It was sad.
It was bad.
Yeah. And then we, of course, after this really bad imitation, they then pretty much tell us that a 21-year-old college student goes up to his 17-year-old sister's room and destroys her play.
Like a fifth grader.
Yes. That's what happens. A grown man goes to his little sister's room and ruins a project she had for high school.
Mm-hmm.
Where quite often just turning it in is good enough to get a good grade.
I would say it's commensurate with the idea of, say, that the country elected a center-left president who advanced the most, like, small ball, like, just a little bit steps in front of the other stuff with regard to, like, domestic policy and then bipartisan foreign policy, and just makes it a little bit smarter. But because you hate that person so much for 8 years that it festers within you, that you have to burn down the fucking country. Like, it's that same thing where it's like your 17-year-old sister who wrote a 5-minute little skit about Richard Nixon's resignation that probably had like 5 pieces of factoids in them. And it was like, and he also did the V symbol when he got on the fucking helicopter. He's so full of like vituperative horseshit that he has to write his own play that he's going to recite in front of the family and make her watch, that he's going to then tear apart her homework. It's kind of what the Republican Party has always motherfucking been about. Is just put upon bullshit that they think they're always being attacked, and then tearing everything else down because they project their own anger and hate inside them.
Paul, is your affectation around anywhere?
Yeah.
You would think that it would have done a little bit better, right?
Just use a little of your affectation right about it.
And he's not talking about the Sherlock hat.
No. So
yeah,
after Alex runs upstairs, we get Elise yelling at Steven over something or another. What is she yelling at Steven about? Oh, she yells at Steven for going down to the used car dealership and ruining this for Mallory, and then Mallory hates him.
Right. She completely, she's with us. She's like, that was a stupid, horrible thing to do.
And basically she says, and now you're going to have to work this out with your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the lead-in to our nightly backdoor finish.
Yep.
It's the backdoor finish.
Everybody.
And by the way,
backdoor finish.
It's a father-daughter backdoor finish this time too.
Oh,
We don't usually get a
boy, does our president love those.
yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
But we get a scene, and you're right, Paul. You said it at the beginning of the show tonight. You're right. Mallory, Justine Bateman, actually really does well for herself in this scene. She's believable, and she's sort of sweet. And when she puts her foot down and says to Stephen, "Hey, I'm an adult now. I'm 20 years old. I'm an adult. I don't have to take this from you anymore." I would hope that it would have some impact on him.
Yeah. It made me feel like just watching this over, it made me think of other episodes with Mallory, and we've kind of seen this before. I was like, this has really become pretty sexist. Like, they always have to put her in this position.
Oh, we didn't even mention the fact that Dan Hedaya says, "Oh, if Nick were a girl, I wouldn't treat him. I wouldn't give him as much freedom as I do." And so it's like, hey, it's cool because Mallory's a woman. That means that she deserves a double standard with regard to her own freedoms.
Mm-hmm.
Right. She got this shit when she was a teenager, and now that she's a grown woman going to college, making a career, trying to make a career for herself, and she's still being treated like this. It's horrible. Yeah. That's how I felt. It's like, and Steven's apologizing. Everything. It's like we've heard this before. Like, you've apologized so many times of not trusting Mallory with a job, or not getting good grades, or wanting to marry Nick. It's the same old bullshit.
Yeah, at least they didn't do the "I hurt you because I love you" thing that they so often do. At least they steered clear of that.
They did, thankfully. But he never once admitted that he didn't want to see his daughter having sex, or hear about his daughter having sex, or think about his daughter having sex. That was flipping him out too much.
I did like they give Mallory the line of like, "I'm going to pay for my own car."
Yeah, good, exactly. That would, of course, I was chanting the entire episode. Guess what the solution to this would be? Buy yourself your own car.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's it.
So I just want to say one more, like, in a materialist critique, a white man uses economic power structures in order to force a young woman to act sexually the way that he thinks she should. I just want to point that out. In a materialist critique, that's what he's doing. He's using economic imperialism to force sexual mores on his daughter.
Yep.
So fuck this episode. This episode.
Also, he is a man who has been presented to us from minute one as an evolved man, and proved almost on a weekly basis that there is no evolving in his part.
Yeah. It's really strange they went down that way when their intention was clearly not that at the start.
Yeah.
So what was the count again, Corey? Only 7 more episodes?
That's it. 7 is what I can figure. But there's two doubles in there, and that's it.
I'm sorry, guys. It's just this episode was a lot, and apparently, I still have other things I need to work out. So.
It's okay, Paul. It's okay. You just take another tug off that beer, man. It's gonna be all right, buddy.
Thank you.
It's gonna be all right. Well, guys, that's it for us. For questions and comments, please be sure to write us at qualitytimewithfamilyties@gmail.com. You can also look for updates on Twitter at Qtwft. Each of us is also on Twitter. I'm at Follow Jones.
I'm at Paul Packler.
And I'm at Corpep.
And be sure to like our Facebook page. We like to thank our host and producer, Barbara Dillon at Fanbase Press. Fanbase Press is an online conglomerate of geek media providing its readers with daily cultural insights into all their comics. Please be sure to see everything that they do. We also like to thank Perry Adams, who beautifully performs the theme song without us. Check out Perry's music at perryadams.com. We like to thank Sean Foster, Fanbase Press's graphic designer, for designing our logo. And lastly, Brian Dillon, Fanbase Press's president, who also edits our episodes. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
La, 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 la.
Bye.